Hey, what's up, folks? Welcome to another edition of Football Theory. I'm lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers. Pleased to be joined by my co-host, and he is a very accomplished man. He is a former high school head football coach for Burnett, for Capel, Brownwood, Belton, Rotan, them Yellowhammers. Also, he played football at Abilene Christian, coached there as well at several stints. He also was on the staff at Texas for a few years with different staffs. I mean, this man has done it all, ladies and gentlemen. And now you can find some of his great work at shipleyranches.com. Hey,
Yeah,
represent.
looking good, Rod.
It's Coach Bob Shipley. What's going on, Coach? How you doing?
Hey, what's happening? We're going to have a contest occasionally and give away a cap to
Oh,
to some of our viewers out there.
I love it, Coach. I love that idea because I'm telling you, I'm going to style this thing. I'm going to wear it out, Coach. People are going to be asking, where did you get that from? And I'm going to be able to say, shipleyranches.com.
Say you buy a ranch, you get a free cap. $1 million limit right now. I'm just teasing.
I can assure y'all, I cannot afford those Shipley ranches, but one day that's my dream.
Oh man, ranches. It's just like just like saddles. There's a butt for every saddle. There's a ranch for every man. Just got to find the right one. It may be 1 acre, maybe more.
See, I got to keep my wife away from shipleyranches.com. I mean, she likes that sales pitch right there. All right, before we get started here, folks, we got a lot of stuff we'll get into. I can't wait to pick Coach's brain. Football Theory is brought to you by accomplished Austin realtor Laura Baker. Laura and the Andy Allen team at Keller Williams can handle all of your real estate needs in the Austin area. Laura is not only a diehard Longhorn fan, but a longtime Austin real estate expert. So give her a shout. She'll help you navigate these very treacherous real estate waters here in the ATX. 512-784-0505. That's 512-784-0505. All right, Coach. A lot of different things that I want to get your thoughts on here in Football Theory. First, I think I want to start with what we talked about Coach Akina a lot, and I don't have great updates on Coach Akina just yet. Hopefully, by the time this is posted, we'll have a little bit more clarity on the Coach Akina situation. It was at one point trending toward Texas. Now it seems it's trending more toward Arizona. And there was a quote from the head coach. There's now been a change at head coach there at Arizona. Brent Brennan, who is the San Jose Spartans head coach, formerly at San Jose. He has now taken the Arizona job. He said this about Coach Akina. I do think I have a decent commitment from Duane Akina to continue to be part of this, which is exciting. Just the teacher he is, the person he is, the leader he is. I'm excited about that. Decent commitment. That means, yeah, there you go, Coach. See, you caught it too. What you got about decent commitment?
That sounds like one of my old girlfriends right there.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, I ain't all in on a decent commitment.
I agree. If you ask me about, hey, Rod, how does that food taste at the restaurant? I'm like, oh, it's decent. It's decent. That's not a glowing.
No.
That's not a glowing recommendation, is it?
No. What are my chances of coming through with this surgery, Doc? He said, well, they're decent. I'm like, I'm out. I'm out.
Exactly. Oh, man, is she pretty? How's she look? Well,
yeah.
She's decent.
She's decent. Yeah.
She's decent. So there you go. Well, and aside from that, because we don't have updates just yet, but aside from that, Coach, if he comes to Texas, it will be in an analyst role. We know that you have had, several duties, I should say, and occupied several roles on the staff at Texas. One of them was as an analyst. Can you tell us what an analyst actually does, at least what you did, and what the rule, the kind of the restrictions are for analysts and what they can and cannot do?
Yeah, well, I think Greg Robinson and I were the first two analysts that University of Texas hired. Matt Brown hired us in 2013, spring of 13, I guess. And so it's just different. We wasn't that well defined back then, but I can tell you that a guy that brings Duane Akina obviously brings a jillion more things to the table than I ever did as an analyst, but he would be incredibly valuable. The only thing an analyst can't do is coach players. You can't coach players. But you can you're involved in, you can be involved in game planning, you can be involved in scouting, you can be involved in recruiting, and all those things. Obviously, having a guy with the history that he has, especially at our university, is would be incredibly. It would just be phenomenal. Just look what Coach Patterson did. In the 22 season. So having a guy like Coach Akina in here, who is we've talked about this before, one of the nicest guys. He's high on life, man. Every day he is high on life, and he just gets me excited just carrying on a conversation with him. He's just that type of guy. But whether they would give him responsibilities like they did Greg Robinson, they would like Matt gave Greg Oklahoma, and I think one other team that we were playing that year, and just want you to break them down and come back and give us a mock game plan on how you would beat them. And we actually beat OU in 2013. So I think it can be incredibly valuable, as well as just having another incredible football mind in that staff room, talking about maybe some things not only that you can do to help from week to week, but just looking at our players and seeing how we can get the best out of our kids that we possibly can. So can't go on the road, can't go on the road recruiting or anything like that. Recruiting has to be limited to campus, but certainly, can be on the sidelines in the games, be in the press box in the games, all that stuff. Just can't actually be, one-on-one physically coaching. So the only ones on the staff that can do that are not full-time coaches are actually the graduate assistants and student assistants can actually coach, but analysts cannot. So volunteers cannot. So anyway, I think it'd be a great role for him. I can't blame him for going for more money, but at the same time, I imagine Duane, he's probably, I don't know, mid 60s, maybe. I don't know for sure how old he is, but
he's like mid to late 60s, something like that.
Yeah. And he's got a lot left in him, because a guy like that he's just running hot all the time. He's always running hot.
Yeah, but, man, he's got a young spirit, and he's got a lot of energy.
He does. And at the same time, he has a new grandchild in Austin. His new daughter-in-law, who married one of his sons, used to coach for me in Brownwood. Outstanding gal, outstanding athlete. Was actually a pole vaulter at the University of Texas back in the day. And so I know he's got a new grandchild in Austin. I don't know how much Mrs. Akina is tugging on him to get there, but we'll see. I don't think it's not going to drag on very long. In fact, I was really surprised that I feel like if he was going to go ahead and go to Arizona, he would have gone ahead. And I mean, this is valuable recruiting time right now. Hit the ground running. So the fact that he has not made that commitment public yet, kind of like Dumb and Dumber, you're telling me there's a chance. Yeah, 1 in a million. I got a chance.
There is a chance.
We'll see how that goes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the good stuff, Coach. I appreciate it. Yeah,
and let me tell you this too. You remember in 2013, Greg Robinson was on the staff, although he was on campus during the training camp. But once the season got going, he went back to California and was just breaking down film and just studying opponents and stuff. Then we went up to Brigham Young, BYU, and we got embarrassed up there. Taysom Hill, we made him a legend at BYU that game because we couldn't stop
I remember
I was there, zone Coach. Read. I
was on the sideline for that one, Coach. Ooh.
Yeah, it was a tough game. Well, we got back from the game. Remember, there was like a 2-hour delay with thunderstorm coming through.
Oh.
When we got back, we realized that night, some of us the next morning, that there was a change made, and Greg Robinson was able to step right in and become the defensive coordinator at mid-season, or early in that season. So, not that there would be anything like that would happen, but he would be there, know what you're doing, and if there ever was a situation, he could step in, even if somebody got sick or whatever, he could step into, to a full-time coaching role temporarily. That's been done some.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. It's another added advantage, right? Added value to having another football mind on the staff. I want to ask you about a theory of mine, Coach, that I've had for a long time. And people have heard me say this for a while, that I believe the future of football is positionless football. Versatility is going to be one of the key traits that teams covet in the future more and more. And it's become a buzzword. I've heard Coach Sark use it more and more now, describing the defense. When he was talking about the young DBs he was bringing in the recruiting class, he used the term versatile, versatility, position flex, or I believe it was 3-position player, 11 different times describing that group. Everybody that he talked about, he described them as versatile. Like that's something that they're prioritizing and emphasizing.
Rod, you are the most amazing dude. No, who counts the number of times a man says something in a press conference? Nothing gets by you, Rod. That's why you're gold, baby.
Now that's why coaches are weary of guys like me. It's like, why is that dude counting how many times I use the term versatile? Yeah, that's true. But I think my point is, I think it's a point of emphasis for these guys. I think that's kind of where they want to go with the future construction of this secondary and defensive backfield. But even now, the guy Jahdae Barron is a very versatile guy defensively. But I think that's where the defense may be going. You great football coach at the high school level. You've coached at the college level too. Is there any merit to my theory that I think the future of football is going with more versatile defenders? The more versatile, the better. Texas is definitely going with those guys. Mo Blackwell, if it's in that camp. Anthony Hill, even with the way they use him on the edge. Those guys. Makuba can play any position in the secondary. I just think maybe that may be where they're going. I'm getting that kind of vibe from Texas and the guys they're acquiring and starting to bring in on the defensive side.
Man, absolutely. I mean, I think it trends. I think, you have trends, and it could just be the fact that, it's really nice to have a big physical safety, come up on run support, and you don't see that as much as you used to, but I think, like I said, I just want to say that first. It could be that the cycle of players we're going through just lends itself
could be that
to more versatile players. In other words, you got a chance to get, speed across the field at receiver or at DB. That's got to be the number one thing that you look for. It's certainly not the end all, but it is a number one thing. So I don't know if it's that or if it's just the way that people are playing now, the pace of the game. There's way more the last 2, 3, 4, or 5 years shifting and motions and everything that you're seeing. So it allows you to put those guys in situations that back when I played, and you too to a certain degree, when a team lined up, that's pretty much where they were going to be.
That was it. Yeah, exactly.
You could think through, okay, here's this formation. Here's what they like to do in this formation. Okay, this receiver, his split is he's more of, he's further inside, is condensed or whatever, and so you can go through all this stuff. Now you can't, man, because there's people moving all the time. And so that really lends itself to versatility offensively, which has to lend itself defensively to be versatile as well, because you can't have a linebacker or a run support safety, covering, guys like Silas Bolden or whatever. It's just not going to be a happy ending for the defense when you're doing that. So I think that the defense sometimes is a little bit behind the offense in terms of how they continually progress the system, and its system continues to grow. And now that offense is especially our offense, it looks like is going to be very versatile in the players that we have across the board. Any of them can beat you on any play, so you got to have the DBs across the board, because you don't know who's going to wind up covering who sometimes until that shifting in motion is over with and the ball snapped.
I'm glad you brought that up, Coach, because Sark, right? Sark loves to shift in motion guys. He moves a lot of the pieces around. He loves position fluidity. Here's a quote from Sark, and this is from, I believe this is from like his early time when he first got to Texas. We don't teach our receivers to play one spot and only one spot on the field. Once players learn how to handle concepts, then coaches will readjust the formation and take advantage of perceived matchups. That's how offensive coaches are thinking. They're thinking now conceptually, hey, I'm going to teach my guys concepts, and then these guys are interchangeable pieces potentially where they're hunting matchups on the defense. Like my boy Kyle Shanahan is probably the best example of it. He's basically running his dad's old school West Coast offense, except his fullback is Kyle Juszczyk, a guy that can play tailback, he can play tight end, play H-back, play in the slot too. He's got Kittle, he can move around the formation. He's got a wide receiver, Deebo Samuel, that also lines up in the backfield. And he's got all these interchangeable pieces that he can move around and hunt matchups. And if you have a player that is rigid in his skill set and is only a run defender or can only this guy can only cover, if that's the case and they're not versatile in their skill set, well, guys like Sark and guys like Shano, they'll hunt that matchup and they'll make him a run defender if he's a poor run defender, or they'll make him a coverage defender if he's poor in coverage, which, like you said, lends itself to versatility as the evolutionary adaptation on the defensive side of the ball. And that's why I said, like 8 years ago, positionless football is the future. It's just hard to find those types of athletes. They don't grow on trees.
Yeah, that's right. And I think you're seeing it now, and you're going to continue probably to see guys that were the big run support type safeties. Those guys are easy to move into linebacker. And I think you'll see more on that. You're not going to see, as I say that, we just signed a guy from Alabama that's a pretty big run stopper kind of linebacker, but he's not the kind of guy that you want to wind up on, one of your receivers, or really even a fast back coming out of the backfield. He's just not made for that.
I think, Coach, he's the counter. So these hybrid defenses, like a Dan Quinn defense in the NFL, their one, I think, flaw is that you can run power at them. You can run right down here. You can go old school on these new school defenses built with hybrids. You can go old school offense on them. Just run right down their damn throat. They have a problem with that. So the counter would be, I got to bring in some old school run defenders,
right,
like a linebacker and just some downhill linebackers, and that'll be the counter. So I think that's why you bring in one or two of those guys, and you got to bend a guy like that too. All right, before we move on, let me thank our sponsor once again before we close things out. Football Theory is brought to you by our accomplished Austin realtor, Laura Baker. Laura and the Andy Allen team at Keller Williams can handle all of your real estate needs in the Austin area. Laura is not only a diehard Longhorn fan, but a longtime Austin real estate expert. Give her a shout today at 512-784-0505. That's 512-784-0505. All right, before we get out of here officially, Major Applewhite is set to get the head coaching job at South Alabama, so congrats to him. A quick word on Major Applewhite getting the job at South Alabama, and your thoughts on Major, the lifetime Longhorn.
Yeah, well, Major, as you know, is firsthand. I know from watching TV, he's an incredible competitor. He doesn't mess around. He's not one of those guys that he was on staff with me in 2013. He was the offensive coordinator. And Major is always intense, always hard working guy. And he's not one, you have somebody stop by your office once in a while and say, hey, man, listen to this joke I just heard. No, you don't mess with Major. He ain't going to be no playing around much with Major. He's all business, and I'm just so happy for him. He's been, I don't know if he deserved that job or not. Honestly, I didn't keep up with South Alabama a lot this year, other than they had a great improvement, from the season before. But his pedigree and his coaching background and the people that he's been able to coach for are some of the best that's ever done it. And so I think I know as a former head coach myself, you learn. You may not have been incredibly successful, as a head coach or even as an offensive coordinator, but you learn from that. And that's what Major's he's always trying to, he'd come up and try to pick my brain. I was like, Major, what do you want to talk to me about? I came here from Brownwood High School, No, I want you to what do you think about our offense? What do you think about this? What do you think about that? A guy like that has always got a chance. to be great, because he's always trying to improve his game. And I'm thrilled for Major, and I think it's a great opportunity for him to step back in as a head coach and have success. And he's I mean, how many little guys? Well, they ain't little anymore. They're in college or even older now, named Major. Everybody's naming the kids Major. Bunch of my buddies, they got these dogs. Their dog is named Major. I mean, Major was just a great underdog story at the University of Texas. A guy that just almost like a Rocky Balboa type guy who didn't look good, wasn't fast. Didn't always look like he was, the first round draft pick in the NFL, but he just stinking won football games,
Yeah, he did.
And that tenacity is always going to give you a chance.
No, it's good stuff, Coach. I can't say it better than that. So we'll end it there. And thanks to you, Coach. Appreciate the time and appreciate your time for all you guys out there. And for Coach Bob Shipley, I'm a lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers. Until next time on Football Theory, hook 'em.
Hook 'em.